Hi, everyone. So welcome to our B2B, B2C Experience in a B2B Store webinar with Magento, Vaimo, Fixfast, and Nosto. I'm James White, head of the UK and Ireland team at Nosto, and we're going to run this for about 45 minutes or so with a Q&A at the end. Try and keep it within that time because obviously we've all got places to be. And we're going to kick off with David Wise from Magento and hand over to him now.
Thank you, James. Thank you, everybody, for joining the session. What we're looking at here is what is going to happen in B2B that we see with Magento Commerce, with about a third of our business being B2B customers. We have about 250,000 websites around the world running on Magento, transacting around 125 billion in commerce every year through that. So we have a very good perspective of the marketplace and where things are headed and where they're going around the B2B market. And we're very excited about what's possible and what can happen. And really, there's a bit of a revolution going on in the B2B world because businesses are understanding that in their everyday lives, largely as a result of mobile phones and what's happened, is that it's possible to buy with the same experience that you have in your weekend life or out of work life. And so all of a sudden the expectation has come for people who outside of their everyday life and in their work life to be able to get similar buying experiences. And the smart businesses out there are looking at themselves and asking the question, how can we become more digital and become more consumer-like in our approach whilst fitting in with the needs of our business? And clearly for those of you on the call, you're of that group of innovative thinkers, because there's a silent force that's acting against the revolution. Just like any revolutions, there's always resistance. And that is the latency within typical B2B organizations, particularly from the people side, in terms of adopting new thinking, new technology. So it's not just about, you could have the best technology in the world, but if it doesn't have the people behind it or the processes to support it, it really won't be used to its full potential. And so this presentation is about things to consider, experiencing from a real customer who's running a platform designed for commerce in a B2B environment, and then how you can use it to personalize. So if you look at what's going on with the B2B purchasing trends, Forrester have done a number of surveys, and they can see that 71% of purchases start with generic search. Now, it's all well and good saying that your existing customers are very happy with you and they're used to you, so they use you. They might be using you because they haven't had a decent alternative, but there's going to be competition out there who, if they come up with something digital that suddenly makes what's being sold a much better experience, there's real risk to your business. So it's the opportunity for you to take the first mover advantage and tap into the ability of social, because 70% of people are tapping into social media for advice and feedback and context. It obviously depends on exactly what your product or service is, but people are going beyond the walls of your business and using the web and beyond to understand what's good about it and whether they should be using it. And 57% of purchase process completed without direct supplier contact. So there's a fundamental shift going on in the marketplace. The question is your business keeping up with this and taking advantage of this shift? So competing on customer experience is becoming increasingly more important. We see that with our merchants in the B2C side, that those who focus in on customer experience, price becomes less important. Obviously, price is still a very important factor, but then if you're dealing in more commoditized areas, and everything is becoming more commoditized, then price becomes difficult to differentiate as its own. If you can create a great experience, then that gives you an advantage over your competitors. And so 38% want flexibility to purchase 24/7. If you're not offering a digital proposition, how are people going to buy after 6 p.m. at night? And why not give buyers, because they might be working late, the ability to be able to buy from their office, or if they've even gone home but they still need to finish jobs of purchasing, why not allow them? And the fundamental difference really as we look at digital in the B2B world is that whilst everybody is a B2C consumer outside of their work, people who are purchasers, that is their work. It's buying. So they're doing buying for a job rather than for pleasure. So the more easier it is, the more flexible it is, the more open all hours it is, and the quicker it is, will reduce friction for them and make them more likely to continue to buy from you rather than somebody else. And so it's a very urgent moment. There is a watershed moment that we're literally upon, where if you look at this question, what percentage of your B2B customers do you expect to be buying from you online in 3 years? More than 50% could see that more than half of their customers would be buying from them online. That's a gigantic shift that's happening in the marketplace. So it's so important to be ready for that. So what is your digital strategy? How are you planning it? How are you executing it? And what does that look like? And one of the beauties, one of the big advantages of B2B compared to B2C is personalization is absolutely got its soulmate, because unlike B2C, where most brands don't really know who you are when you're on their site, it's just accepted that if you're to buy from a B2B business, you have to offer up your details. You set up an account, you put on your information requirements, and so that information is captured, that's expected. So digitally, think of the power of that information, assuming you have the technology in place to be able to use it and use it intelligently. So you'll know what organization, what their role is, credit limits, buying authorities, structure. Think of the marketing possibilities and the digital engagement possibilities you have with that information. You've got their order history. You understand what they're looking at. It's contextual. You can start to then surface contextual elements that make sense for upsells and cross-sells to increase the cart value for you. So looking at it from that B2C lens, but applying it to the way your B2B business works, can make such a difference, especially as you layer in personalization. And then within that, it gives you the chance to create personas, and it's going to be slightly different depending on what your business is. But for example, the field site engineer, who's the buyer, they typically don't have access to a laptop, and so their phone is their primary tool, which is why, again, when you're going digital, start with a mobile first proposition, because that, as long as you get the mobile piece right, everything else underneath it will be correct, because if it works in mobile, it's going to work in your desktop site. And so make sure you think about enabling the features and functionality of a phone, like scanning for barcodes, one-click ordering, make it easy and simple to use. And you can target relevant ways to that person as a persona in the way that they're buying and accessing information. Similarly, most B2B businesses have direct salespeople who are out there either hitting the phones or in their cars going and visiting customers. And then this is a key part in terms of allowing for success. You need to think about what it is that the impact on your organization digital will have, and how can you be inclusive of them and bring them into that to both help them, but also the opportunities for better customer engagement. So empowering your salespeople who go out to visit customers to teach their customers, not as your customers, how to use digital, how to buy digitally, so they can go with their iPad or their laptop to a client and start to walk them through how to buy online. They're there as an asset to you to help drive up adoption. They're there to be able to then help and go in and add value in the sales process to how to understand more about the product. So all of a sudden you're enriching the capabilities of your salespeople, so it's not a competition. And then the procurement person, the person who's effectively approving the sale, you want to be able to target them in certain ways and make sure they're able, in out of hours, what would be traditionally from the way you work offline, with online and mobile, you're able to help them buy whatever is convenient for them. They want it to be as frictionless as possible because they've got other things to do to get on with the rest of their job. So help them with the ability within a platform to be able to approve orders, approve quotes, manage buyers, look at history, look at negotiated orders, look at bulk orders, make it nice and simple. So these are things to be considering as you look at your e-commerce platform. And what we see is traditional channels compared to new channels, the average cost per sales of ordering by channel, when you look at it, the cost goes down when you've got your digital channel. It's significantly less expensive, and you can drive much more value within that channel and route to market. And this is proven out by independent studies where 25% of companies that consumerize their B2B digital commerce sites will gain a market share and see revenue increase up to 25%. 5x B2B digital leaders will see their revenues grow more than 5 times more than their peers. So if you're looking for internal business cases, please feel free to use and share these data points to help prove out the importance and the critical impact it has on your business of doing it against not doing it. Speed is of the essence. Can't stress this enough. And obviously you've got this challenge where you have complex legacy environments. How do you look at staffing and resources? So it's not a magic bullet and it's not going to happen overnight, which is why the stat 44% took longer than a year to implement the site. And that's because there's a lot of considerations to factor in. We see in Magento, see sites go in, they can go in less than 2 months in a B2C environment. B2B is typically longer. You have to allow that gestation period of both acceptance and adoption from the people side to understand what it is that exactly you're implementing within your e-commerce platform, and then drive it through and manage that to a plan. So please account for that as you plan out your digital roadmap. And making it easy. So out-of-the-box solutions where lots of core functionality is there ready for you to use instead of having to build it in or integrate it in. And Magento comes with a lot of power out of the box, especially once we released our 2.2 version, which enabled B2B as out-of-the-box capability. You can then also augment with extensible elements like Nosto, for example, to be able to enrich your core commerce platform to really drive out that extra value from it. So we're rated as the internet retailer B2B in the top 300. We have more brands in the top 300 of B2B than any other platform. So we're very happy to engage with conversations with yourself for any questions around that and guide you with specialist systems integrators who really understand how to use Magento in a B2B environment. And so the main reasons merchants choose Magento is it makes it easier to consumerize the site, and it's that flexibility of being able to do that helps enable lower total cost of ownership and maintenance, but also planning for the unseen elements that are coming down the road in the future, like progressive web apps and other technologies that you need to adapt and shift to. And we do this with lots of companies already, so we're very happy to share our experience. I'm now going to hand back to James to introduce the next part of our webinar. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, David, for your insights there. I'm now going to introduce Aaron, who is a Vaimo solution specialist, and Emma Watkins from Fixfast, and they're going to introduce their respective businesses and discuss their journey through B2B, Magento, and kind of bringing that B2C customer experience to a B2B business. With you guys.
Hi there. So my name's Aaron. I work for Vaimo. I'll just give a quick introduction to Vaimo as a company. So we're a global elite partner specialized in commerce success for customers. We have a large range of B2C and B2B businesses covering over 400 sites. We're proud to be experts in the Magento environment and think it's especially a viable solution for customers. And we operate in over 12 regions across the globe. And we're passionate about commerce. We love it to the ends of needs of the clients. And one of the things that hopefully that will transition through is as one of our customers, Emma, who's with us today, which is lovely to have. Hopefully we can share that partnership that we've had with our clients in terms of trying to make sure that they succeed in their overall solution. So Emma, do you want to give a little bit of an introduction to yourself?
Hi, sure. Thanks, Aaron. Really appreciate that. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Emma Watkins. I'm the head of marketing for Fixfast. Here at Fixfast, we design and manufacture components for the construction industry. We started working with Vaimo a short while ago. We've got a very good MD who saw the vision for digital for the business. So we're in a process of really trying to sort of put digital at the forefront of the business and what we're doing, which is how we came to be associated with Vaimo and Magento.
Okay, so let me just go through some of the slides. So one of the first things I wanted to ask was to talk obviously about the Fixfast project. So you've kind of covered off what Fixfast do, but do you want to go expanding that to a little bit? For me, obviously coming into the Fixfast world of things, I've had a lovely introduction to your culture, your office, and everything else that you've got going on in Kent. But for some of the people who aren't aware, what is the kind of the finer detail of what you do and what you manufacture and what you sell as a business?
Okay, so the business specialises in what's called the building envelope. So we work with sort of facades, sheeting and cladding and roofing. So it's a very sort of niche, very specific market. Great opportunity for us, very good opportunity for sort of innovation. But being in the construction industry as a whole, they do tend to be a little bit more behind the times than perhaps some industries are. So it gives us a very good opportunity to sort of work on that. As a business, we design components ourselves. We also import components from other parts of the world, both Europe and particularly Asia. So for us, it's about selling a package of products to now enable somebody to do a very specific role, a very specific job. Our customers are generally sort of split. They could be anything from small sort of roofing contractors right up to the very big big contractors that you'll see on public offices, public sites, involved in quite heavily in the public sector. So it's a very, very wide range from almost sort of man in a van right up to those with very large sort of purchasing departments. So it's important that we and our services are tailored to quite a wide range of people that we're actually going to be working with.
And then how does that translate into the online part of the business? Because I think that's one of the biggest things for you, isn't it? Is being able to distinctly merge those two sections of the business in a digital perspective.
Yeah, absolutely. So I suppose the challenges is that on the lower end of the scale, it is very transactional. It is far more like a B2C environment where you've got man in the van, wants something, needs it tomorrow, goes online, places order, and lo and behold, it arrives the next day, right up to companies where actually they have a purchasing department. One person might compile the order, somebody else might need to approve it. So we've got lots of different types of segments of customers that are actually interested in what we're doing. We also have sort of architects that we speak to who, although they don't physically buy from us, what they would do is they would use the information that would be within our website, both on the textual pages and within the e-commerce site, to decide whether or not to use our products to put it in their specification. So it's really important that the information that we provide online is as much for those people who aren't physically placing the orders as it is for those who are going to actually come along at the end of the day and buy. So it's quite a spread of people that we're actually working with.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I think as part of the platform, when we went through this, we were trying to understand how to optimize that as much as possible, trying to show on a product page a story which relates to it, a case study. I think as you go through the site, and I do recommend that anyone goes through the site to see how data is collected, because it's done in such a clever way. I'm sure we'll go more on this down in topics. So transitioning in through to that, understanding that your customer base and the business, how did you come to the decision that from your bespoke platform previously, moving on to Magento, what appealed you to the platform? What kind of process did you go through to understand that?
I think it was, as I say, we've got a very good MD in that he's very forward thinking. He's always looking at actually what's sort of happening next. And he saw that actually the platform that we had already just wasn't scalable enough for what we needed. And he saw at that time that it was an opportunity for us to gain market share. We also found that we spend a lot of time internally taking calls. In fact, some people still fax us quotations, requests, and orders, and we realized actually the amount of time that it was taking for us internally to process it was quite high, and that if we started to do far more of the work that we did digitally, that actually it was going to free up capacity in the business. So the plan was to actually increase sales revenue through people purchasing online, but simultaneously actually increasing the time that we've got to deal with that greater capacity of customers coming through. So it's quite a big decision to make at the time, and choosing Magento really for us with the growth plans that we have, the reputation of Magento, it was a sort of foregone conclusion that we were obviously going to go that route, just because of the scalability of the platform.
And then in terms of the platform, as you said, I think what part of the functionality is key and critical to that experience? I think as part of mobile becoming a full focus of users, end users, and tablet, do you see that the business is transitioning onto that in terms of desktop users over to using devices like tablet and mobile?
Absolutely. So the challenge that we had is a lot of the people that purchase from us are people that are potentially on site. So they're on building sites quite a lot of the time. There has been a big move in recent years for the big contractors to actually start to give tablets out to their staff. And we saw that as an opportunity for us to tap into a growing market of tablet users. So really for us, it was very much looking first of all from a mobile solution, and that would work very well on mobile phones, so people could easily order and manage their account on their mobile, but actually also on tablets, so the people on building sites, a lot of the big companies are actually starting to build some of their functionality into tablets already. So we knew that there was a big market opportunity there. We do get people using desktop, but we've seen from the stats so far that actually by far it's those that are using mobile and tablet that we get the better conversions from.
That makes sense. And I think as you were mentioning previously, that you've got quite a mix in terms of range of diverse customers, and it's quite a lots of customers who are on different edges of the scale of utilizing your products in the market space. So what kind of products or features would you say that now you've transitioned onto Magento B2B platform that you find are the most useful to personalize that experience to the customer? You still with us, Emma?
It looks like we've temporarily lost Emma. Oh no, we're back.
Oh, hello, sorry. My apologies for that. It's always bad timing, isn't it?
It's one of the benefits of Kent, and one of the benefits. So yeah, so did you catch my question, Emma? Did you get that last little bit?
Sorry, no, I didn't.
No, sorry.
My apologies.
Just let me. I'll rephrase it. So we're just talking about the platform and how it caters for a large, diverse set of customers, which you have customers who are a man in a van all the way up to big businesses, obviously with contractors on site that are purchasing your products. As part of that, how do you find being able to manage that set of customers? What features on the website do you feel that are enabling you to provide that to your customer base as a whole?
So a lot of our customers need quite highly detailed technical information. So this it's important when they're doing calculations as to what products they're going to purchase, which are products that are an important component from a structural perspective. So they need to be very clear on that they are purchasing the right component. So the way that we've actually structured it is that they can very easily get that technical information that they need to hand whenever they need it. Which has been a really important sort of aspect for us. We get a lot of people that are hitting the product pages, and that's one of the first places that they're going to. We're also starting to build up so that within the products we can add things like instructional videos with it. So some people don't know how to use the products, so we're starting to add to our library of videos that could be connected, people can click through at the point of viewing the products, so they actually see not only the technical information that they need in order to buy the correct product, but actually they can start to look at how-to guides. And we're also linking it in very much with our sort of campaign. So as we're looking at marketing certain parts of the business, we're linking that information back in with the product ranges again, so that people can see, for example, we're setting up checklists and how-to guides and things that we're linking back into the e-commerce store, and we're finding that those campaigns are again working very well together, and that the campaigns are driving more people to the product and vice versa, which has seen an increase in our conversions.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things when we did the implementation, the focus on one data collection, being able to make it easy to transit between product and case study, and gather the information around the product, download the BIM file, etc., for the specification for the architects, etc. Then in terms of personalization, could you just talk a little bit about in terms of how you manage customer pricing and also customer shipping? Because I think those are two key critical areas where you have a very complex but personal solution to each of your customers.
We do. So we have over 5,000 products all on our website. Every customer has a different price of pretty much every product. It's a bit of a legacy situation, but one that unfortunately we can't get away from. So one of the big things that we worked on with Vaimo was actually once a customer logs in, they have their own personalised set of prices. So any customer can go in and they can purchase at their specific cost. So what we're doing is we've connected very well with our ERP that pulls through all the specific costings for that customer. This has been great for us because previously we had a sort of a big heavy pricing directory which had generic RRP prices in it, and customers were having to take a paper version of their percentage off list price and literally calculate how much percentage they would have off the list price. As you can imagine, if you're looking at buying significant number of products, that was a very difficult thing to do. Whereas now what people can do is they can actually log on, select the products that they want, put it in the basket, or automatically shows their actual price. So it's been a big time saving from that perspective, and well worth the amount of work and effort that was put into getting it set up. It's been brilliant.
And then I think that's that's super important in terms of what a customer offering. But and one of the things that I know that is being enabled you to do is to be able to manage your products and also offer more products to customers, because I know that there's a massive complexity to the manufacturing, and you have to be there and see it to understand the detail. But in terms of, I think there's a couple of aspect areas which are quite interesting, like the colouring of your fasteners, etc. And how you previously had to manually quite manage that process in terms of listing products, but now it gives you the ability to scale and descale that quite fast, to at least give the customers the ability to purchase that product. One of the things that I've seen through the website, which I think is amazing now, that the way your catalog is displayed. I think that's one of the biggest, probably unique ways of I've seen B2B in terms of display, and that was one of the biggest focus because you have such a diverse range.
Absolutely.
And I think it's the fact that you have multiple configurations for each product, which is quite hard to sometimes understand, but it's once you see the detail, it's really interesting to see how it's displayed. Then I was going to talk about customer accounts. One of the things that you do is offer specific customer offering of how to pay on account. Can you just explain that a bit more, how that enables your different customers to be able to purchase?
Okay, so we have most of our customers have credit terms because of the nature of what we're doing. Most of them can have anything from 30 to 60-day terms. So what we wanted people to be able to do is to actually go online, purchase things, and for actually those terms to be followed through. So it's actually connected in with our account system and our ERP, so that we can offer those same terms to our e-commerce customers. So what happens is, as and when they put it in the basket, it automatically comes through to us in accounts and goes against their sort of own specific credit limit that they've actually got with us, which can be managed, which has been a really great way of connecting the two together, and actually solves a real concern that our sales team had previously about e-commerce adoption, because the credit limits that we offer our customers are so important to how we do business.
Yeah, I think that's key, and I think one of the things that we probably didn't, once we went live, I don't think we didn't realise as much that you would have customers who are man in the van, were able to not have to go through the big back end process, which enabled them just to purchase the products as a kind of normal B2C customer from that experience, which is super interesting. I think it's one of the things we probably weren't expecting from that side of things.
Absolutely.
Then in terms of future plans, I know this is always I love some of the ideas that you've got in place, but in terms of future plans, what do you think your customers are kind of asking for? Where do you want to be in the next kind of 6 months to a year time? If you could just elaborate a bit on that, please. I think she may have dropped off again, but we'll see. Hopefully she'll be back in a second. She's back? You back?
Yeah,
Did
back,
you hear that
okay.
question?
Sorry. No, I'm sorry.
So I was just talking about future plans. What are you, obviously it's already an exciting journey that you've been on so far. What are your plans for the kind of next 6 months to a year time?
Okay, so we want to have far more integration, so we can really, we've got this concept of sort of complete customer self-service. So we're looking at everything that customers come to us for. So we want to look at carriage integration, so that we have a lot of calls in, people chasing deliveries, wanting to know where deliveries are. So because they're a lot of them are being delivered to big sites, it's very difficult. It's not like somebody's potentially at home, or you could pop something by the side of the bin. We're often delivering large pallets to big construction sites. So things like integration with carriers is important for us. People to be able to have different approvals. So we're looking at the moment of, for example, having different admin rights for different users within an individual business, so that somebody in accounts could perhaps approve a purchase before the order is actually placed, but allowing people actually on the ground to place the order. So it's things like that that actually give more agility to our customers that we're looking for. We're also looking to very much expand the content of the site that we've got. We've also got an opportunity now that we've got the website as it is now. We've got a big project internally to improve our logistics, and we're looking at changing all of our packaging so that it will have a barcode on it, so that people can actually scan that on their phone, which will go directly to the product pages within the website, which will hold the information that we've got. So we're using the website to try and sort of link through that process, so that from the point to which somebody first finds us, the site, we did some recent audits, the site is super fast. We've got a 100% rating that's just come through for speed. So we know that that the site itself, and we're doing much better on the search listing. So from the site being found to it being navigated through to the e-commerce process, enabling people to manage their account better. What we want to do is to try and completely link that process up, so that we've got everything from acquisition of customer right through to retention and upsell and cross sell. So they're the sort of big projects that we're looking at, but continually to refine what we've got. So we've got a fantastic base at the moment for us to be able to sort of build on, which would be absolutely fantastic.
No, that sounds super interesting in terms of delivery. So the next steps, one of the things that, just to end on, I was wanting to kind of get a takeaway of, if you could take a couple of things and pass on that knowledge that you've gone through this journey so far, what would you pass on to anyone who's looking at transitioning or going through, or at least identifying where they need to be in terms of going through and finding a solution? What would be your kind of big recommendations in terms of delivery?
It's a difficult one. You do need to obviously look at your customers and look at who your customers are, where they are, and where they're likely to be transacting. But you also need to sort of have your crystal ball out. If you're looking at an industry like ours, where it is traditionally very behind, as I said previously, people still fax us orders. You do need to look at where that industry is going. So a lot of people, even within the business, are very much on the construction industry, don't use digital, don't use phones. So you do have to actually look at where markets are going and where things are going, and look to craft your capability around that. I think in hindsight, we should have spent a bit more time looking at the the content side of it. So we've done a fantastic job on the e-commerce side. So the e-commerce is looking very good, but because we spent so much time on the e-commerce, the front end side of it does need some work for us. So we're now putting time to creating more content that's going to drive more traffic. So I think it's really important to have a balance between that e-commerce facilities and the pages within the site that actually drives that. And also within the business itself, the challenge that you quite often get in B2B organizations is with regards to sales teams. You invariably have sales teams who are, certainly ours, were very much, oh, you're looking at taking sales away from us. This is, our customers don't like to buy like this, and you're almost doing us out of the job. So we've actually had people say, well, you're not going to need sales teams if you've got e-commerce. And it's really sort of bringing those people within the business into the project, and showing them actually where the value can lie, and explaining the fact that if we can take the heavy lifting of the day-to-day sales, then it frees them up time to really get those bigger orders and sign up those bigger clients and do the account management side of it, which they do so much so well. So I think really a bit more planning for us on content, and a bit more time spending really trying to bring everybody else in the business on board so that we're all on the same journey. They've been our biggest challenges, I think.
That's super useful information. So I was just going to say, as I think that kind of comes to a close of our part, but I just wanted to say thank you, Emma, and as part of the project, it's been amazing to work on all the way throughout. So if we hand back over, I think we're going to be speaking about Nosto. Thank you, Emma.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Aaron and Emma. Really interesting insights from Fixfast and from David before that as well. To be honest, I feel like I haven't got much left to talk about. I've had it all covered for me. We've had personalization and customer experience. So I'm going to try not to rehash too many of the points, but we'll try and cover it briefly in the last sort of 10 minutes or so. So for those of you that don't know Nosto already, we are a personalization platform, Magento Premier partner, working for e-commerce businesses globally, B2B and B2C, currently around 2,500 accounts worldwide. So we focus on pure personalization. So think of product recommendations, overlays and pop-ups, social media personalization, so Facebook and Instagram, marketing partners, and then email as well, so dynamic email content. So touching on a lot of the points that we've already talked about today, but I'll just go through now kind of our B2B and versus B2C and the way that we see it. So this has been discussed a little bit earlier, but there's this kind of B2B versus B2C, and what are the main differences? Well, there are a lot of things that are very similar, and there are several things, or a portion of things, that are very different. You know, the common things are like we pointed out earlier, so different pricing depending on the customer group, ordering in bulk volumes. You know, you don't typically go and buy your shirt and jeans in volumes of 1,000, you tend to buy them in ones and twos. But your facades from Fixfast, you might buy 1,000 items in one go without even blinking. So there's a couple of similarities and a few major differences that need to be accounted for. So what do both B2B and B2C involve? Well, first off, there's a sales process. With B2B, we've again talked about that. It might be someone on site jumps on their iPhone or iPad looking at a selection of items. On for a customer, that can be an iPhone on the train on the way to work looking at a shirt or jeans or a suit for the wedding they're going to in the summer. Those processes are quite similar. They just happen at different stages and varying differences in urgency. And then we've got customer knowledge as well, and how to put that across to the customer. So on the product page, we were talking earlier about making sure that all the detail was there, a video, a case study, how it works, how you use that, And in B2C, that looks like user-generated content, an Instagram image. So the similarities are actually all there. They're just slightly framed in a slightly different way. And I think one thing that really stands out is your B2B and B2C customer, they are the same. And like David pointed out earlier, they're just doing it in a slightly different environment, but they still expect great service, relevant service, and you to build a relationship with them. Whether that's, a welcome email, welcome to Fixfast, great to have you on board. Hope your first order works out for you. Please give us a call if you've got any problems. That's no different from John Lewis when you sign up or buy your first product from them. So leveraging your customer knowledge, exceptional customer experience, and relationship building and customer lifetime value are still probably the top three things as part of the process. So what are the main differences? Well, again, so B2C, you buy based on emotion. You often don't need something. I do not need a new pair of shoes, but I probably want them. I'm not contracted to buy. There's no real complexity. I just want it or don't want it. I can decide, and my bank will either let me or not let me pay for it, very simply. And we just want to use something for its purpose. So we buy a phone for a phone, a pair of shoes for a pair of shoes. There's not really much complexity around it. And then with B2B, obviously, it's very different, that you buy based on logic or business needs. So I need a selection of workwear for my new 10 contractors starting next week on site, and it needs to be here the day before so I can prep it for them. Complex products, contracts. So we pointed out earlier that the difference in pricing. So I think it was 5,000 products, and every single customer has a different pricing, and that might be 50 million different pricing possibilities. Well, we all know that doesn't happen on B2C, or at least we hope it doesn't anyway. And there's also the chain of command. So I might be the one ordering it, but my boss David might be the one approving it. And there's all the options and processes in between which need to be factored in. And so how does personalization come into B2B, and how can personalization drive success in B2B? Well, again, we've had plenty of points on why and how. Obviously, we have a huge amount more data with B2B. We've got the credit rating. Often you've got pre-approved credit that you can buy on. We know who the customer is, where they've come from. They have to log in, so we are 100% sure who they are rather than just a cookie. And we have this kind of breadth and depth of data, which allows us to select products specifically for them. And then that can be tailored based on price, margin, sell-through. There's all these different variables which we can start to factor in and do come into play with B2C, but with B2B can be so much more important. But the expectations are still there, as we pointed out earlier. All these buyers, approvers, they still shop for themselves, so they still expect the same experience. And a few stats for you guys here. So the future of high-tech B2B sales and digital. The same study forecast that more than half of high-tech B2B sales will come from digital by 2020. So all those fax, phone, email orders, I guess email can still count as digital in some way, but they're probably going to be transacting straight through your e-commerce platform rather than these kind of manual, I would call them, order types. And then by 2018, B2B companies with best-in-class or effective personalization on their sites will outsell by 30% competitors without the same level. And finally, by 2018, 70% of B2B e-commerce sites will be offering personalized features to customers. Now, we've heard already Fixfast doing that today, and there's a world of customers or B2B stores out there, doing that. Magento can give you the same story, and Vaimo and us as well. We've all got customers who are leveraging this today. So I guess the reason is why wait? You've heard some great stats from David at Magento and the way they see the market. So there's really no need to at least not investigate it today. So I think one of the biggest struggles that we see in B2B is lead generation. With B2C, this can be a lot easier. You've often got a much bigger pool to choose from. And with B2B, you have not necessarily a limited pool, but they might be particularly loyal to another business or a B2B outlet that does a similar thing. So again, the ways to differentiate have been touched on earlier, but making sure that your e-commerce business is easily accessible through mobile, desktop, tablet, wherever they are, they need to be able to order in the same way. They need to be able to get approval. All these kind of key experience points. They need to understand when the order's been shipped. They need to understand when you release new products that might suit them, whereas previously your business didn't supply those. All these key kind of touch points, you need to be able to adapt to those. So establishing awareness, creating demand, and then nurture into an opportunity. Remember, you don't have that kind of impulse buy ability. You can't just offer a discount and get them to buy now, or send them an email offer that's going to convert 10% more customers per day than what you've been doing the year before that. You really need to pull these users or buyers across from wherever they're buying today, because the business needs to buy product on a day-to-day or month-to-month basis. So some key ingredients that we see for mastering B2B. So here we've got Heat and Cool. They sell heating and cooling supplies. Does what it says on the tin. So one of the things that they do particularly well is enhanced navigation. And what we're seeing is that 60% of B2B customers expect enhanced search functionality. So easy searchable products. Often you're searching through sometimes catalogs of 100,000 products, and you do not want to get lost in menus. So search needs to be optimal. Then when you do find the product that you want, it's often only one or two core products. So what we see is add to cart recommendations. So when you click that, yep, I want that in my cart, or you're currently in the cart, what can you buy with it? And often customers don't often know what they want or what goes particularly well with it. They forget and order it a second time, or they forget they need that item of equipment or a drill or whatever it is that may be needed. So add to cart recommendations for average order value, automating the products chosen based on the customer. And then, as with B2C, the holy grail of personalization is really the product page. Here we see an example on TSA safety. So showing comparable products. So in this case, when someone's looking at high-vis jackets, here are a selection of other high-vis jackets, and then what you may also like to buy with that jacket. So we've got trousers, winter jackets, slightly different colors, just giving options and showing off your cross-category affinities. So as a big store, you might have, like I said, over 100,000 products, and customers don't easily find the products that go well together, or often the product that might be cheaper. So important to show those off to a customer on your product pages. And then here with Sonic Electronics, so they sell basically products for cars, boats, power, motorsport, sorry, a huge variety of different products, and you can select your vehicle, but they deal a lot with kind of garages and bulk orders. So displaying relevant pricing based on contract. So it's not only at the order stage that this price is shown, it's actually at the recommendation level down to the customer. So it might be that James logs on and has a contract price for anything over, let's say, £100 or a particular product at $119, whereas David logs on and sees $140 because his buying volume is significantly lower, or his contract price. So really important, just like shipping at the end of the customer journey, when you get hit with this big shipping bill, what you don't want is for a customer to get to the end and see one price when they were expecting another. So a continuous optimization of the journey, that's really important. And then also a big thing for Sonic Electronics is, because of the variety of different products they show, it's really important to tailor the homepage to suit that. So you can just see the popular categories there. They've got car stereo, subwoofers, speakers, amplifiers, a huge variety there. And actually, I might have only been looking at the head units. And so I don't need to see speakers or amps. I just want to see other head units when I come back to the homepage. So really tailoring the experience from homepage all the way through to cart page. And then we come to email, and I don't know if many of you have seen dot mailers hitting the mark, kind of report that they do every year. But I think one of the big things with B2B is that they were a bit behind B2C when it comes to welcoming in customers to their brand, but also doing simple order follow-ups and abandoned cart emails that really are the cheapest kind of marketing automation you can use. So there's a couple of stats here around segmenting your list and abandoned cart emails. So segmenting campaigns get 14.6% more opens and nearly 60% more clicks. And also setting up abandoned cart emails to remind customers of items they've left behind, help them to continue their shopping at a later stage. So AVS Fencing, one of our clients, and actually Vaimo as well, they're getting over a 10.7% click-through rate on abandoned cart emails. And then finally, social. This, I would say, is a little more brand or product dependent, but remember, your customers, even though they're B2B customers and buying for a business, they are on Facebook. Let's not argue that our staff or our teams don't ever spend time on Facebook during work hours. It might be that you remind them what they've left behind in the cart on Facebook, and they remember to pick up their iPad during their lunch break and make that order that they need for the next day, the next work day, or when the next team arrive on site. So there is definitely a place for social. It just needs to be used well. And incorporating, here we mentioned incorporating that eye-catching content. And I think Fixfast, also earlier speaking about video content, so important. You can use that in Facebook ads as well, as kind of that thumb-stopping, eye-catching content. That might be the only reminder that someone needs to come back to you and make that purchase. So thank you very much to everyone for your time. I'm going to open the floor to questions now and see if we have any. Feel free to type some questions in the chat. So one for you, Emma.
Hi.
Hi there. So what was the biggest challenge for you when you sort of moved to Magento and got yourselves up to where you are now? What was the single biggest challenge? Was it an internal one, an external one, back end versus front end? What was the biggest challenge, or one or two?
I think the challenges we had were only internal, and really it was trying to connect our back end in. So our ERP, our back end ordering system that manages our stock and so forth. I think that was probably the biggest challenge. And I think Aaron can attest to the work that was required to do that. But it is also the biggest, now we've done it, is the biggest success. So well worth the time planning I would also, if you're looking at doing something like this, I would very carefully consider what you do to your ERP system when the website is being built. So we made some changes to our ERP system whilst the website was being built without understanding what effect that would have to the website once it was finished. So if anyone is out there looking at doing this, that sort of project, do halt any other ERP changes until the website's live is a big tip from us.
Don't try and hit too many moving targets in one go, basically.
No, doesn't work.
I think that, to be honest, I think that's very common. I heard that from a company the other day. They changed their order management, they changed their ERP, they changed their warehouse management, and they changed their site at the same time. And it was just very difficult to manage, let's say, and not by any fault of any sort of individual provider or company, just too many things changing, I think. And particularly with B2B, where it tends to be much more complex, the back end solutions, I think you need to be more mindful of what you're changing and how and when you're changing it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Perfect. So I think we're just conscious of time. I think we'll finish things up there. We're a bit over the 45 minutes promised. So thank you to everyone for bearing with us. There'll be a recording of this webinar sent out. So if you'd like to share with any colleagues, you'll get that via email, hopefully later today or possibly tomorrow. But thank you very much for coming. I'd just like to thank again David, Emma, and Aaron for speaking alongside myself. And hopefully you'll find it useful. Have a good day, everyone.